In the history of movies, there are a few filmmakers who have expanded our way of seeing and completely changed the way we experience the art form. One of them was named Federico Fellini. It's not enough to call Fellini a filmmaker. He was a maestro. And really, for a generation of film lovers, he was cinema. Fellini's work is like a treasure chest. You open it up and there's a world of wonders, sparkling visions of beauty, terror, absurdity, where the ancient and the modern become one, where all the barriers between reality and fantasy just shatter before your eyes. Fellini's work seemed to open up new realms of possibility for me and all my friends. We'd go to see his pictures the day they opened, and as we waited for the lights to go down, we knew we were going to be surprised, transported, and perhaps transformed.
I'm honored to be a part of this celebration and the career of this great man. For close to 40 years, Federico Fellini has contributed a vast and impressive gallery of images, both real and fantastic, to the vocabulary of the cinema. In addition to that, he is responsible for adding a new word to our language, Fellini-esque.
Fellini's 8.5 is, to me, the film that captures what it actually is like to be a film director, to make a movie.
I miei film nascono perché io firmo un contratto, prendo un anticipo, non lo voglio restituire e devo fare il film. Le ripeto, può sembrare un motto spiritoso, invece è la pura verità. Io non credo alla libertà totale nella creazione. Il creativo lasciato in questa dimensione di totale libertà credo che tenderebbe a non fare niente. Che c'è una cosa pericolosa per un artista è proprio la libertà totale, cioè l'attesa dell'ispirazione, cioè tutta questa retorica così romantica.
He enjoyed injecting himself into his stories, oftentimes making films about himself as a legend, according to John Stubbs. The clearest example of a Fellini-inspired protagonist is the writer-director Guido from 8.5. He has the same profession as Fellini, experiences the same creative block, and even feels the same pressure from producers.
There are moments in the film that still stick in my head. One of them is Mastroianni working his way down a corridor of the hotel where the production office is, and people coming out of doors trying to get his attention. And he's developed a little dance. And this is the way he deals with the fact that the whole world is coming in on him. Questions, answers, they need answers. And he doesn't have any, and he tap dances his way through it. And it's something I've subsequently learned is the only way to get through film directing, is to do just that. And I thought, clearly what has happened here is that Fellini was working on a movie. He didn't know really how to finish it. It wasn't coming together. And so he wrote a movie about making a movie about a director who doesn't know how to make or finish his movie.
As Ronald LeBrock puts it, the artist seems to work from a hermetic masculine perspective. As meditation on his own flights and fancy, his films are largely compilations of male heterosexual fantasies.
Silvia, ma chi sei?
Listen.
Silvia.
Fellini includes in these fantasies the people he knows. He incorporates characters drawn from his own world of entertainment and journalism into the spotlight, according to Tullio Kezich. One of the most obvious examples of this would be the photographers in La Dolce Vita that are constantly present. They are often directing their subjects and invading the privacy of Marcello and his lady of the moment, always more concerned with their payment than the rights of their targets. The most common infusion of real people into Fellini's films, however, are the women, who ironically maintain a rather unrealistic existence. According to Ronald LeBrock, we find women as embodiments not of some feminine principle, but of feminine flesh. Women imagine in what appear to be recurrent fits of adolescent sexism.
Eccola qua. Non ho tempo da perdere però, voglio tornare subito in camera.
Si va? Si va, vieni, andiamo?
Stasera in bene.
Andiamo? Andiamo! Oh, Bucaiolo, non ci si muove?
Non sento più.
Andiamo?
Me ne vado. Vado a letto. Non sento più, Fa tutto un fuoco? Fa tutto un fuoco? Fa tutto un fuoco? Ma tu credi che fosse diventata casa tua questa qua? E muoviti!
Ne voglio uno solo, ma come dico io, ne? Vamos? Vamos con lo spagnolo? Vamos? Andiamo, muchachi?
Non metteva sto catrotto in fila, va!
Andiamo? Spagnola? Vamos?
Andiamo?
Fellini's protagonists, who often represent the legend he would like to be, either seem to be in awe of women or having power over them.
Come ti chiami?
Hildegard.
No, il tuo nome è Sesso. Come ti chiami?
Sesso.
No, il tuo nome è Grembo. Come ti chiami?
Grembo.
No, ora il tuo nome è solo il nome della divinità. Tu non sei più te stessa, ma sei la porta, il terreno, la corolla, il giaciglio della divinità.
LeBrock's analysis of this scene suggests that being denied the prerogative of being herself, the young woman becomes all aspects of all women, vagina, womb, goddess, in the composite image of the male's heterosexual fantasy. This same idea is presented in La Dolce Vita.
Tu sei tutto, sì. Ma lo sai che sei tutto. You are everything, everything. Tu sei la prima donna del primo giorno della creazione. Sei la madre, la sorella, l'amante, l'amica, l'angelo, il diavolo, la terra, la casa. Ah, ecco che cosa sei. La casa. Buonasera, donne.
In 8½, the harem sequence is probably the best example of women playing out the one-dimensional roles they are often granted in Fellini's films. Each woman is simple in her wants and needs, being awed by the gifts that Guido has brought or being content in their duties around the house.
I think at the time, if I do remember, there was a sense of, that he was very anti-women. Women were objects. But he admits that right in the film. He treats them like objects, but they're treating him in their own way. He doesn't lie about his weaknesses. He puts them right out there, and so he's got Mastrioni with his whip cracking, and it's obvious. I mean, it's not like he's hiding any of his problems. He just puts them out there.
In La Dolce Vita, the women of Marcello's world never enter into a fantasy existence, and therefore they spend the entirety of the film lacking an understanding of Marcello. According to Kesich, Madalena, the beautiful heiress, is too rich and spoiled to know what Marcello wants. Emma, on the other hand, is too organic and possessive. Marcello's wife spends her time needing him, which ultimately pushes him away. Yet despite their inability to understand the tortured protagonist, he continues to seek their love and approval, doing what he must to please them. Fellini also incorporates his producers into his films, often in very harsh lights. In 8½, Guido's producer is consistently breathing down his neck, trying to force him to finish his picture.
Sono qua per aiutarti in tutti i modi. Però il film deve cominciare, e deve cominciare subito. Avanti coi provini!
Guido responds with excuses and eccentricity. In real life, during pre-production stages of La Dolce Vita, according to Kesich, Fellini would push discussions with lawyers to the breaking point, claiming that he'd rather drink ink than sign a contract, and then he drank some ink. Another time, he tore up papers with his teeth and started chewing. In the final meeting, he even accused the negotiators of attempted rape, and then, in a gesture of surrender, he dropped his pants. Stories like these make it easy to believe that Fellini had a flair for the eccentric, which makes his use of nightmares, memories, and dream sequences much easier to accept. In 8½, nightmares are Guido's most limited form of narrative, according to Frank Burke. They are by their very nature unconscious mechanisms over which he has no control. They narrate him instead of vice versa.
Papà, aspetta, non andare via. Abbiamo parlato così poco tra noi. Senti, papà, avevo tante domande da farti.
As Burke acknowledges in this sequence, Guido's mother and father point out his failures and introduce a level of accountability that Guido is not yet willing to face on a conscious level.
Io l'avrei voluto più alto. È brutto, figliolo, è brutto. Io l'avrei voluto diverso. Guido, non potresti occupartene un po' tu? Disegnavi così bene. Io vorrei...
Burke argues that memories, on the other hand, allow Guido to face the things he has avoided. By remembering them, he is allowing himself to relive the past, but this time he is ready to experience it on his own terms. Burke points to the Seragina, who is an embodiment of the unknown. When Guido is able to relive his memories of her, he is able to face the unknown because he is ready. Here, there is no clear-cut distinction between reality and imagination, which makes for a typical Italian ending, but also forces the audience to create their own meaning for the sequence.
And then he mixes all of that with his complex life, with his parents, with his girlfriends, with his wife. And you keep all this swirling around the fact that he's trying to make a movie and can't get to grips with it. And at the same time, you're trying to take all of these things and make them into the movie. And I think the last shot sums it up, where he's got all those characters of his life in a circle to Nino Rota's music, to the little boy who's leading the band, and they're going around and around. And that was Fellini, and that's what every film director is, that little boy.
As Stubbs points out, with Fellini, we do not get a true account of his life. Instead, we see bits and pieces of Fellini in all of his leading characters, and it is up to us to try and decipher what is true to the artist.
So from I Vitelloni and La Strada through 8.5 and Satyricon, he showed us the darkness that can overcome the soul, and then the magic and spiritual force that can bring you back into the light. What he gave us was priceless, and the best way we can thank him is by keeping his work alive.
This reads to Federico Fellini in appreciation of one of the screen's master storytellers. Congratulations.
Grazie,
Can I give you a kiss?
Yes, I want it.
Okay.
Thank you, grazie.
Thank you very much.
Grazie
indeed.
Marcellino,
Thank you.
sei venuto.